Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland. Well, this video is to say bravo, Rose Docherty, a true Scots heroine who said that she's willing to go to prison in order to try and save children. So she's a gallant children's saviour who has been protesting outside Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Glasgow, trying to save little kids from murder, because that hospital, yeah, it provides a lot of genuine medical care. However, sadly, there are child murderers who operate there. It's also a human slaughterhouse. There are some sick, sadistic psychopaths who derive pleasure from murdering little girls and little boys. And those children, that child, that could have been you, that could have been me. The victims, they're just as human as any of us. They're just as alive as you and me right now. So Miss Docherty, she's been standing out there and she's never harmed anybody. No one's ever suggested that. All she's said is she's been willing to speak to these mothers to try and persuade them to think again, to show mercy, to spare her child's life. Even if she doesn't go ahead with it today, she could go ahead with it tomorrow. She could at least think about it. There are other options. It is possible to give birth to a child. Having a baby is not the worst thing in the world. The murder of a child is the worst thing in the world. And obviously, some women are crushed by that, the guilt, the knowledge of what they've done. Sadly, there are a lot of people who've got no conscience and will do it. And the abortion industry wants as many victims as possible. So they're paid per scalp. They're proud of it. They rejoice in it. They take pleasure in murdering little children. And of course, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance. These people, they will claim that a child is not a child and being alive is not alive, as though a heartbeat is not proof of life, as though respiration is not proof of life. These people, they're irrationalists, they're anti-scientific. So oppressive legislation was passed in Scotland not long ago, depriving people of their fundamental right of free expression and freedom of association. That is the Abortion Safe Services Access Zones Act. Now, it's a contradiction in terms. You can tell how illogical it is. Abortion can never be safe. The whole point is the death rate is 100% for the children. Actually, just occasionally, a child survives and is born alive. And the abortionists, even they will acknowledge that a baby is a baby and alive when he or she comes out breathing and all that. But then they won't intervene to save this child. Just leave the child to die, who's sometimes very badly wounded. So the law is a severe abridgment of our fundamental right to agitate upon public grievances, to gather, to express our views at the relevant location. When there was a death penalty for adults, as opposed to the death penalty for children we got now, people protested outside prisons against capital punishment. If you want to protest about the police, you protest at the police station. You want to protest about a court ruling, you protest at the court. You protest at the pertinent location. This is the only example where it's a crime to demonstrate in the relevant place. So Miss Docherty could be fined £10,000, or they said an unlimited case. So she's arrested there in February this year. All she did was hold a sign saying, "Coercion is a crime. Here to talk. Only if you want." That's it. That's it. There's no suggestion she harmed anyone. She spoke to anyone who didn't want to be harmed. So meanwhile, these doctors and nurses, they are murdering little kids. They are ripping them apart alive. They're tearing off their limbs. They bleed to death. They're breaking their spines. They're sawing off their skulls. They're sucking out their brains. They're injecting their hearts with deadly poisons to cause cardiac arrest. Feticide. There's a clue in that suffix side, as in genocide. The express purpose is to kill these little children, these fetuses. Fetus, Latin for little one. Well, as we're speaking English, let me call them little ones. Little what? Little humans. Anyway, we all started as embryos. We all became fetuses. We're human then, we're human now. A human cannot have been something other than a human. But what about a sperm? What about an egg? Well, a sperm is a cell of a man's body. An egg is a cell of a woman's body. It's when they fuse, you've got a new individual. This person, he or she, is unique, is not his or her mother. We know that an embryo is a separate individual because he or she's got a different genetic fingerprint, different fingerprints actually, eventually, iris prints and all the rest of it. May have a different blood group, eye colour, hair colour from the mother and father. and so on. So it is Orwellian that she has been arrested for trying to defend the defenseless, for trying to defend children. Anyway, she's done nothing wrong. It's a grossly unjust law. It's obviously infuriating, this outrageous act of injustice. The war on children is perpetrated every single day. It's a war with violence on only one side, and that's by the abortion industry, who are prescribing these dangerous drugs to women, who cause them significant harm, quite apart from the abortion, significant physical harm, and so on, raise their risk of suicide and everything else. So there's no suggestion she was intimidating or harassing anyone. Is the police are doing that on behalf of the abortion industry. They'll do nothing about the people who are murdering little kids. Well, no surprise there. So, yeah, 1 in 3 women will abort her daughter or son, a truly shocking statistic. But just because it's a prolific crime or a very widespread crime, that doesn't make it any more acceptable. If 1 in 10 men beat up his girlfriend, wife, would that be acceptable? No, it wouldn't. It would make it even worse. We often hear a lot of people are racist. Does that make it a good thing? No, it doesn't. This is how pathetic the abortion industry is, how utterly bereft of rational arguments they are. And I hear that these child murderers saying that the demonstrations are unpleasant. Well, no, they're very pleasant for anyone who cares about human rights. I mean, you might be unpleasant for a murderer to hear what you really are. Abortion is the most unpleasant thing in the world. Staff members, if you don't like it, why don't you stop doing it? Because if you murder little children, yeah, some people are going to dislike you very strongly and give you a rather forthright opinion about what you are doing. Anyway, so intimidating patients? Really? Really? No one has ever been found to have intimidated a single patient at any hospital in Scotland or the United Kingdom, so far as I know. Show me one case, one, where that was proven. Can you show me a case where it was even a prosecution, even an acquittal? I don't know of a single one, but I do know of over 10 million murders in the United Kingdom carried out by abortionists since 1967, and goodness knows how many murders earlier on. To deliberately kill an innocent person is murder, isn't it? And nobody can be more innocent than a defenseless child. They cannot defend themselves, they cannot run away, they've never harmed anyone. So, and then there is an unbelievably cruel and unkind thing to do. It is sadism, it is violence against little children. It is the ultimate form of child abuse. Anyway, Miss Docherty has been warned, but she says she shan't desist. So she is a very gallant woman, saving a child. Someone like this might have saved your life and you would never know, and so on. So she is willing to go to jail. Just think, when they're releasing dangerous criminals, they sent her, a 74-year-old woman who's harmed nobody, indeed tried to save children, that she would be jailed. It's sickening. So Gillian Mackay is an outspoken advocate of the mass murder of children. She's a member of the Scottish Parliament. It's disgraceful that such a violent extremist should be elected to public office. It shows us the dangers of demagoguery. Anyway, so what it really is a defence against morality, common decency, humanity, is to murder a child, whether you do it with a poison, whether you do it with a deadly weapon or whatever. And some of these poisons would kill adults in sufficient dosage. So you see how there's a war on children and there's a war on freedom waged by these abortionists. And if they're going to take away children's rights, the right to life, not surprisingly, they're going to do it to adults as well. And they've started with, children just a few weeks in utero to more and more weeks in utero, up to 40 weeks in utero. They'll start doing it to children who've been born. They'll start doing it to older and older children and to adults. So watch out. And that's the beginning of the end. That is the beginning of genocide. It's very, very worrying. Anyway, so there's some people in Scotland who are like me, will recognise that Rose Docherty is really the very best of Scotland. And, she ought to be getting a medal, like not a prison sentence. We'll see whether she's prosecuted. It's very troubling that the cases like this have happened. The liberticide you see all across the world when tyrants are attacking the right to demonstrate, people who are just trying to save little kids. There's nothing worse than the murder of a child. It's the foulest act you could possibly commit. What could possibly be guiltier than that? What could possibly be more shameful than that? Those who murder little children should have that follow them throughout their lives. They deserve everything they get. I'm not in favour of the death penalty, and murderers who murder their children, I wouldn't even give them life imprisonment, particularly if they plead guilty. But it would have to be quite a few years in prison. Obviously, the doctors, the nurses, the abortion industry, husbands, boyfriends, deserve even more severe sentences. for the murders they're committing. So save children. What's wrong about that? The baby's safe, the mother's safe, love them both. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with saving children? Right, thank you for watching my channel. Goodbye.